Have you ever had that feeling that something important is trying to get your attention, but you just can't quite figure out what it is? Imagine for a moment that this isn't just your imagination. What if it's real? Now, picture someone you deeply love, maybe someone you haven't seen in a long time or someone who feels more distant than they should. That person is trying to reach out to you. They might not be using clear words or obvious gestures, but there are signs, small moments that carry a message. Are you paying attention enough to notice them? Take a moment and ask yourself, how many times have you let something slip away that seemed insignificant but could have changed everything? It could be a glance, a pause in the middle of a conversation, or even the sound of a notification you decided to ignore. And what if that moment, the one that felt so small, was exactly what could have brought you closer together? There's an urgency here, something that demands your attention right now. In this video, we're going to explore what's happening, why you might be missing these signs, and most importantly, how you can change the story before it's too late. Get ready, because what's coming isn't just about how you feel, it's about something much bigger, the impact your choices have on the people who love you and the way you experience your relationships. This story has the power to change everything, but for that to happen, you need to be willing to listen. Now, think about how life sweeps us up in a frantic routine. We're always running, filling our days with tasks, responsibilities, and distractions. In this rush, it's easy to let important moments slip by. How many times have you been physically present, but your mind was somewhere else? How often have you left a message unanswered or ignored a call because it didn't seem like the right time? What you may not realize is that, for someone, that moment meant everything. Imagine now that this person you love is trying to reach out to you in some way. They might be going through something they don't have the courage to express directly. They might be facing challenges, fears, or even loneliness. And the only thing they want is for you to notice, for you to be there. But you, caught up in your own worries, simply didn't see it. This disconnection doesn't happen all at once, it forms in small silences, in gestures you didn't notice, in words left hanging in the air. Even worse, it's possible this person has tried multiple times. Maybe they've sent subtle signals, like a cry for help hidden between the lines of a conversation or an invitation to spend more time together. And each ignored attempt builds a bigger divide. Without realizing it, this divide grows larger, turning what was once a solid bridge between you into a distance that feels impossible to cross. It's like watching a sandcastle being swept away by the waves. You know something is being lost, but you don't know how to stop it. And here lies the greater challenge: sometimes, we don't realize the weight of our absences until it's too late. The person trying to connect with you cannot do it alone. They need you to be present, to look beyond the obvious, to notice the signs before they fade away. Because once a connection is lost, rebuilding it can be a long and painful road, and in some cases, it might not even be possible. Right now, the question you need to answer is simple: are you willing to look beyond the surface? Because if you're not, you risk losing something priceless. And that's exactly what we're going to explore now: how to recognize these signs, how to understand what's happening, and how to prevent this distance from becoming permanent. Now, imagine that the person you love hasn't given up, even when everything seemed to indicate you weren't listening. They keep trying, in subtle, perhaps even invisible ways. A gesture here, a message there, or even that silence that seems to carry an unusual weight. Each of these moments carries a message, as if it were a silent plea: please, look at me, hear what I can't say in words. And here's the most important part: even if you don't realize it, something deeper is happening. This person isn't just trying to connect, they're trusting that you'll understand. They believe, deep down, that you share a bond strong enough to overcome any barrier. Think about it: how many times in your life have you felt someone's presence, even when they weren't physically there? It's as if there's an invisible force, something greater, guiding these moments of connection. Maybe you've noticed it in small details. The song that seems to play at the perfect time, the random thought that reminds you of a conversation, or even that dream that felt so real. These signs might seem like coincidences, but what if they're not? What if they're reminders that this connection is still alive? A kind of invisible thread that ties you two together, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. Now, understand this: the force trying to bring you closer can't act alone. It depends on a conscious choice from you. It depends on you opening your eyes to what's in front of you, recognizing the signs, and, most importantly, acting on them. You've probably heard the expression, "The universe conspires in favor of those who are attentive." This is the time to be attentive. If you keep ignoring it, this force begins to weaken. Every unrecognized sign, every overlooked gesture, turns this connection into something more distant, harder to recover. But it's not too late yet. All this person needs right now is for you to take a step toward them. To acknowledge this silent attempt to be close. Because, deep down, they believe it's worth it, and now the question is, do you believe it too? This is your opportunity to change the course of this story. To transform small gestures into great reconnections. And what you do from here will be crucial for what comes next. Get ready, because the next decision won't just be about recognizing the signs, it'll be about truly taking action. Now, imagine the intensity of this situation building. You feel that something is wrong, something needs your attention, but you can't pinpoint what it is. Meanwhile, the person you love keeps trying. It's as if they're knocking on a locked door, but on the other side, you don't hear the sound. You feel a weight, a restlessness, but you don't understand where it's coming from. And as time passes, this weight grows heavier, and the need to act becomes more urgent. Picture this for a moment: that person is in a difficult emotional place. Maybe they're facing something they've never had the courage to share. Maybe fear, guilt, or even pride is holding them back, but still, they try. Every unanswered message, every ignored invitation, every prolonged silence builds an invisible wall between you. And that wall, though it seems insurmountable now, can still be torn down, but it depends on you. And what if, for a moment, you could step into this person's mind? See how they wrestle with thoughts like, do they still care, or maybe I should stop trying. This emotional battle is silent but devastating. And the worst part is, while they're trying to deal with it alone, you're on the other side, maybe even feeling that something's missing but unsure what to do to change it. It's a cycle that can only be broken with a conscious choice. Think about what would happen if you kept doing nothing. Time doesn't stop, and with it, the distance only grows. A disconnection that begins with a small misunderstanding can turn into an irreparable gap. It's like being on a boat slowly drifting away from the shore. You can see the other side, but if you don't row now, there will come a point when the distance is so great it feels impossible to return. But there's still time. This is the crucial moment, the point where things can begin to change. You need to understand that this person isn't asking for the impossible. What they want is simple: your attention, your acknowledgement, a sign that you're willing to try. Because right now, they're holding on to this connection with everything they've got, but they won't be able to do it alone for much longer. What will you do? Will you keep letting time pass, ignoring the signs, and allowing the wall between you to become impenetrable? Or will you choose to break this cycle now? The choice is in front of you, and it will determine what happens next. Hold tight, because we're approaching the most important moment of this story. This is the moment when everything depends on you. Up to now, you've seen the signs, felt the weight of what's at stake, and realized that the connection between you is hanging by a thread. Now, you have to decide: will you keep letting the distance grow, or will you take action to change this story? Think about the impact of this choice. It's not just about what happens now, but about how it will shape your future together. Imagine that you are standing at a crossroads. On one side, there is the path of inertia, the one where you do nothing. You go on with your routine, avoid the signs, and ignore the intuition that screams inside you. On this path, time does its quiet work, taking away opportunities for reconnection until, one day, you look back and realize everything has been lost. On the other side, there is the path of action. This path is not easy. It requires courage to reach out, to open up, and to listen, even when it's uncomfortable. But it is also the only path that can lead to reconciliation and strengthening of that relationship. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, what is holding me back? Maybe it's the fear of not being reciprocated. Maybe it's pride, that thought of, it's not up to me to take the first step. Or maybe you simply don't know what to say or how to start. But here's the truth: any action, no matter how small, is better than silence. A simple message, an unexpected gesture, an honest word could be everything this person is waiting for. Think of this as a window that is still open, but could close at any moment. You have the chance to act now, while there's still time. Don't put it off, because the future is an uncertain place, where missed opportunities don't come back. This is the time to put aside fear, hesitation, and even pride, because what's at stake is worth infinitely more. What you do now will determine the course of this story. Will it be difficult? Maybe. But remember, the deepest and most meaningful connections in life aren't easy. They require effort, understanding, and, above all, choice. And right now, the choice is in your hands. What you decide now will not only affect the person you love, but also who you are and the kind of story you want to build. Get ready, because we're nearing the end of this journey. The next step is solely up to you, and it could change everything. And now, we've reached the final point of this journey. After everything you've heard, all the reflections and emotions that have come up, there's just one question left: what will you do from here? The answer to this question is not in the past, nor in some distant future. It is in the now. Because in this very moment, as you listen to these words, the person you love is still waiting. Waiting for a sign, a gesture, a decision from you that shows they are important, that you've noticed the signs, and that you're willing to do things differently. Time is relentless. It doesn't stop, it doesn't go back, and it doesn't wait. Every second that passes is an opportunity you can seize or let slip away. But the good news is, as long as you're here, listening, reflecting, and connecting with this message, there's still time. The future you desire, the connection you want to salvage, all of that is within your reach, if you act now. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one expects magical words or grand gestures. What truly matters is sincerity. A simple, "I'm here for you," or "I'm sorry for not realizing it before," can open doors that seemed closed forever. Because in the end, it's not the grand acts that connect us, but the small gestures made with the heart. So, this is your mission. Don't wait until the perfect moment arrives, it never will. Instead, choose to act in the imperfect moment, amid uncertainties and doubts. Because this is how real life works. This is how true reconnections happen. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. The person you love is also trying, in their own way, to keep this bond alive. You have that invisible force that still connects you, but it needs your action to become something tangible. All you need to do is take the first step. And when you do, something incredible will happen. You'll feel the weight of the distance dissipate, the light of a new opportunity emerge, and the certainty that you've chosen the right path. In the end, you'll realize that it was never too late, that love, connection, and reconciliation were always worth every effort. So here's the final reflection: the future you so desire isn't somewhere far away. It's waiting for your choice now. The decision to reach out, to reconnect, to listen, to love. And this decision, no matter how hard it may seem, can change not only the life of the person you love but also your own.